going to a very special lake in Surrey, sort of Sussex-Surrey border. Really, really beautiful little estate lake with some really old carp. Hopefully finding some fish. I've got the lake to myself, so a bit of a luxury. 3 nights of relaxing in the countryside and chasing some really old, beautiful carp. There's a couple of 40s in the lake, I believe. Absolute luxury this is. I've got the island to myself, well, I've got the whole lake to myself. Absolutely over the moon, because last time I came here I lost a fish and didn't actually end up catching anything. Well, hello and welcome to another video. I'm just coming to the end of an hour-long ferry crossing from the Isle of Wight to the mainland in Southampton, and I've got another hour and 15 minutes drive ahead of me going to a very special lake in Surrey, sort of Sussex-Surrey border, a place called Red Beeches. Really, really beautiful little estate lake with some really old carp in it. It's about 2.5 to 3 acres, and I think there's only 20 to 30 fish in there, so it's going to be a real challenge. But I've got 3 nights ahead of me. I've just had a really nice breakfast on the ferry, so I'm all set for my day ahead, getting to the lake and getting all set up and hopefully finding some fish. I've got the lake to myself, so a bit of a luxury. 3 nights of relaxing in the countryside and chasing some really old, beautiful carp. There's a couple of 40s in the lake, I believe, and some really stunning old looking ones as well. So I'm going to get on the road now once the ferry's docked, and I'll talk to you when we get to the lake. so here we are at the beautiful Red Beeches Fishery, and I've been here a couple of hours already. I've done a lap of the lake, just trying to see if I can find any fish and any spots in the edges and that sort of thing. We're in April now. When I was here before, in September last year, the weed was quite bad and there was lilies everywhere. And it was quite obvious where to fish, you know, up to the lily pads where the fish like to hang out, but most of the lilies are not up yet because we're in April and the weed hasn't really grown up properly yet. So I had a wander around just seeing if I could see any fish really, and I did see over the far side there a fish milling along the margin, and a couple of shows over to my left round here. So I've decided to go on the island here, which gives me a command of the whole lake really. I've got the lake to myself as well, which is a lovely luxury to have. And yeah, from the island I can pretty much access any water, so I can keep an eye where the fish are and fish accordingly. And also the lovely thing about this island is you've got a log cabin behind you there, and it's all wood chipped and comfortable, so it's you know, it's kind of luxury fishing here really, but also, you know, it gives you a good view of the lake and good access to everywhere really. So I haven't got any rods out yet. I've just been walking around seeing where the fish are. I've been up a couple of trees and that sort of thing, and I've settled on, I think, where I'm going to fish. So I'll talk you through my spots and everything tomorrow once we've done the first night and sort of see what's going on. And I may well have to move those spots throughout the course of the session, but you've got to start somewhere. I'll also be taking you through my rigs, my bait and my tactics just in general really for the time of year and for this water. So yeah, that's coming up later on in the video, but for now I just want to get the rods out and get fishing and enjoy being here. It's a beautiful place to be, really quiet. All I can hear is the birds, and yeah, I'm really excited and looking forward to this session. Right, so here we are then, all set up at Red Beeches on the island. Absolute luxury this is. I've got the island to myself, well, I've got the whole lake to myself, and from here I can see if any fish show themselves or they're moving around. I've seen quite a few today. Obviously it's spring and the sun's been out, so they've been kind of up on the surface. There's been quite a lot of activity, and I think a zig will be a good thing to try at some point, perhaps tomorrow. But you know, the light's fading and the temperature's dropping now, so I'm sort of fishing on the bottom because I think that's probably the best course of action to start with anyway. And we'll see how we get on. It's quite a shallow lake. I think the margins where I'm fishing are sort of 3 or 4 foot really, so kind of ideal for spring fishing. And the fish have been seen in the margins quite a lot. The owner I was talking to earlier on said you know, a lot of the fish have been seen around the margins, and I have seen a couple of shows as well myself, so yeah, it's looking good. It's early days in the session. We've got 3 nights ahead of us, as I think I said earlier, and yeah, I feel like I can properly relax now. I've got the rods out and I'm fairly confident. So tomorrow I'll take you through the spots that I've chosen to start with, and we'll see throughout the course of the session they may change, so I'll keep you updated with that. And the tactics and rigs and everything I'll talk you through as well tomorrow. And hopefully, yeah, they're going to be successful tactics, but we'll have to wait and see. It's not an easy lake, but everything's in my favour really, the time of year and the fact that I've got the lake to myself. You know, I can kind of move my rods around if I see fish and kind of hopefully get on the fish where the sort of biggest concentrations of them are. So that's kind of it for today really. I'm just going to be watching the water and trying to quickly gauge where the fish want to be and react quickly and get rods where they are. So that's my sort of plan so far. It may change. I may be fishing zigs at some point, and even floaters. I've got some floaters with me, so lots of options. But yeah, for now I'm sort of all out on the bottom with 3 rods. I've got 3 spots I'm fairly confident in, and that's all I can do for now. So time for a cup of tea, I think, and just keep my eye on the water and hopefully something comes along tonight or maybe tomorrow morning. Right then, first night success, come on. Got a beautiful common. Absolutely over the moon, because last time I came here, I lost a fish and didn't actually end up catching anything in the end. And I'm more than happy to catch one on the first night to take the pressure off on this session. Not an easy lake, but we're off the mark, so I'm just going to get it up and show you. A lovely common. And there we go. What a start to the session that is. 21 pounds, 4 ounces. And yeah, I'm absolutely made up because, as I said, I lost one when I was here last and didn't end up having anything after that. To get on the first night, it's really taken the pressure off. Beautiful old estate lake common. Yeah, couldn't be happier. Well, good morning. It's gone a bit chilly. I started yesterday in shorts and t-shirt, gradually added the layers, and now I'm pretty much in my full winter outfit. It's really quite cool down here, but the water temperature, you know, is still quite warm, so the fish are still pretty active. Only the one fish so far, but I'm absolutely over the moon to be off the mark because this isn't an easy water. So this morning I wound in just to go use the facilities and everything, and then I set about putting the rods back out. Now I am using a bait boat on this session because I'm fishing sort of the far margin under overhanging trees and stuff, and it would be very, very hard to cast there and get bait there as well. So a bait boat is a perfect tool for that. But the little sting in the tail is that my battery has, for some reason, run out on the boat. It's not lasted very long at all. I've probably only sent it out about 10 times. And now it's not working, so I've managed to get my 3 rods out, but I'm not going to be able to do that again if I catch another fish. So I'm starting to think of backup plans, really. I've got a couple of marginal spots. One's along my right hand margin to some rhododendrons that are kind of overhanging the water. When I was chatting to Richard, the owner, he said that the fish like to hang out in there, and actually I've sort of snuck through the bamboo there and seen a couple of fish there this morning. So the start of my sort of backup plan is I've put a little bit of bait next to those rhododendrons just to try and draw the fish out a little bit and get them grubbing around. And then if I do get a bite on one of the rods, I can then put that with my baiting pole along the margin to that spot. It's only, you know, it's only sort of 15 yards or so along the bank there. So at least that's one spot as a backup if I can't get my rod back on the spot that it was on originally. And then also in the channel on the other side of the island, there's a little gap in the trees that you can sort of see the water there. And last night there was quite a few fish milling around in that area and kind of flanking off the bottom. And I did try kind of stalking them just before dark, but nothing happened, unfortunately. And when I wound in, I had a leaf on the rig, so I figured my presentation wasn't very good. And it was only in the water for half an hour as well, so, you know, it was a bit of a long shot, but I thought I'd try it before it got dark and before I got that last rod out for the night. But that spot, I've just put some bait on it as well, and I can see the bottom there because it's only very shallow, it's a couple of foot deep. And with the Polaroids on, you can see the bottom very clear, and I can see the bait that I've put in, my sort of mix of particles and stuff, which I will talk you through a little bit later on. But I can see that bait, so I can keep checking it and see if it's been eaten. And if those fish return later on, I might be able to put a rod on that spot, just on single sticks or something, and put a net with it so it's nice and safe. And that's another backup. So I've got a couple of options if these rods go that are fishing to the far margins, you know, because I can't really get them back out there. One idea I had was possibly with my baiting pole to put it out through the trees on the far margin, cast over it, and then draw the line back towards me, put the rig on and some bait in the spoon, and then put it back out like that. And if that's what I have to do, then that's what I'll have to do, because as I said, I've got no bait boat anymore, so I'm going to have to fish properly. So any fish now are going to be hard earned, and yeah, I'm not cheating with the boat anymore. Right, just a little update for you. Nothing's happened since this morning, and it's about 2:30 now, so I need to start thinking about sorting the rods out for tonight. As mentioned earlier, my bait boat has now died, so I've got to think about an alternative way to get the rods out nicely to those spots that are pretty tricky. I don't think you can really cast there because you've got overhangs and stuff. So I was chatting to the owner who popped in this morning to say hello, and he said that I'm allowed to use the boat to row my rods out. So I think that's what I might do. I've got a life jacket in the car, so it'll be nice and safe. So I'm going to wind the rods in a second and get out in the boat and see if I can sort of pinpoint these spots and get the rods out properly. I'm going to fish one down to my margin along this side. As I said earlier, there's some overhangs there. I've seen a couple of fish in there this morning as well, and I can reach that with my baiting pole, so that's a nice easy one. I can just ship the pole out with a scoop of bait and a little rig, and hopefully pick one up in the night or tomorrow morning. It was the morning when I saw the fish in there today, so hopefully tomorrow morning they'll be back again. So there's a chance on that rod. The other one where I actually caught from, I can boat that out nice and easily, and then along my left-hand margin there, I'll show you all my spots at some point, but the spot that I've been fishing on the left-hand margin, I think I can get a better spot if I go out in the boat and sort of prod around a bit and see where it's clear and look at the sort of gaps in the trees and see where the fish come in and out of. Hopefully I can pinpoint the spot a little bit better and get the rods really accurately out there. Right guys, hopefully you saw most of that. It was rather tricky in this wind, but I've got 2 rods out now, pretty accurately on the spots I think where I've been fishing, and I've just got the one down the margin with the baiting pole now, and then that's all 3 sorted, so happy days. At least we've found a solution to the bait boat dying. So yeah, I'm just gonna move the boat and then I'm gonna get my last rod out. was stressful. But I've managed to get 3 rods out. I'm fairly confident they've got a good presentation on good spots. My middle rod is the spot that I caught the fish last night, and it went down with a nice donk when I put it there, and just like a couple of half scoops of bait scattered around. And getting back to the bank with the rod is quite tricky, especially in the wind. You've got no way of controlling your line really, so I had to keep stopping paddling to sort of straighten the line and then paddle a little bit more, and then the wind makes you drift. So it took a lot longer than I wanted it to really. But it's out there, and my left-hand rod over to the margin over there. That was nice. When I went and got the boat, I had a little prod around with the oar just to kind of feel what it was like in the entrance to this little cubby hole. And it felt nice and firm and at good depth, you know, maybe 4 foot or something like that. So not too deep, not too shallow. It's quite a shallow lake all over this. So I think about 4 foot's quite a good depth really. It's sort of somewhere in the middle of the ranges. One of the spots that I was fishing, which I'm not fishing anymore, was actually really shallow. I could see the bottom, it was about 2 foot. Really clear area, so it looks like it's, you know, a good spot when the water level's up a bit, but because the lake's down a bit at the moment, they've not had any rain. The spot is literally 2 foot, and there was mandarin ducks diving on it earlier. And you know, if they can get to it, I think anything could get to it. You know, coots or whatever, even a swan would be able to reach that, I think. And actually I could see my bait from 2 boat drops was all still there. So even though I saw a fish show there yesterday, nothing's fed on that spot. So there's no point flogging a dead horse. I might check it tomorrow, and if that bait's gone, then possibly fish it again. But for tonight, I'm going to leave that spot alone because, you know, it's not been touched, and I haven't seen any more fish show near there. So the spot further along that margin is one that apparently produces a lot of fish, and my middle rod spot is over to where I caught last night. So I've got those 2 spots, and then my right hand rod down the margin that I put out with the baiting pole that you've just seen. That's where the fish have been hanging out. There were definitely sort of 2 or 3 fish in there this morning, and Richard, the owner, told me that he's been seeing fish in there when he's been walking around as well. So I feel like all 3 spots now I've got a good chance, and just hoping that my presentation's good and my line lay and everything. It was quite tricky, but I've done all I can now. You know, I've overcome the bait boat dying, managed to use the rowing boat there, which was a bit awkward, but we're all sorted. So I think I'm going to open myself a cider because I feel like I've earned it. And yeah, we're going to have to just wait and see what this evening brings, and maybe through the night we might get lucky again. So yeah, fingers crossed. Well, good morning. I'm absolutely gutted to say that I've just lost a fish. Had a good sort of 10 hours sleep or something. But yeah, the middle rod went, and I had the fish on for maybe a couple of minutes or something like that. It was just sort of kiting around in open water. And then everything went solid, and I guess it found a bit of weed, or there's a few emerging lilies and stuff like that. May have gone into them, but it was only sort of in there for, you know, 30 seconds or so, and then the hook just pinged out. So the fish obviously got itself in some sort of underwater obstacle, and you know, I lost direct contact with the fish, and it managed to shed the hook. So I'm gutted. I've got the hook back and everything, and actually the hook point's still really sharp. So I guess I was just a bit unlucky with the hook hold. Wasn't particularly good. Maybe it was just sort of nicked in the edge of the lip or something, and it might have just popped out. So yeah, you win some, you lose some. It felt like a decent fish as well, you know. It was kind of holding ground and just plodding around. So yeah, I'm really gutted about that. It's nice to get another take, but on this lake, you know, one take in 24 hours is
is about your lot most of the time. I think sometimes fish is a bit better, but yeah, you just have to get lucky when the fish switch on. But at the moment they're being pretty quiet. You know, the last sort of 24 hours I've barely seen any shows or anything like that. So I've not got a lot to go on in terms of spots really. I've just kind of stuck to my game plan. It's not like I need to move swims because I can reach most of the lake from here. And I've got the rowing boat, so I can kind of row my rods out to wherever I need to as well. Today I'm going to be taking you through the bait and the tactics and the spots and everything, just so you know kind of what I'm up to, fishing what areas and what baits and rigs. Just to give you some pointers if you do think about coming to this lake, or you know, you could try it on anywhere you fish. So yeah, I'll get cracking and then I'll catch up to you later with some tactics and stuff.
Right, so first of all, the spot that I've been fishing on my left-hand rod for the first 24 hours or so is over this side. So I'm on the platform in the swim, I'm looking left, and there's a couple of dead branches there, hopefully you can see. A bit of an overhang there, and when I went out in the boat, there's a nice sort of clear area there, just sort of silt, you know, quite nice brown, like clean silt, and it looks good. It's a patrol route along the margins. I've actually seen a couple of fish going over it as well, and shows when I got here, but the bait that I put out there hasn't been touched, so I decided to come away from that spot, and I've not been fishing that the last 24 hours. What was my left-hand rod last night for the last 24 hours has been over this way towards, there's a bit of a hole there in the trees. So you've got this yellowy coloured tree here, and you just come along, and where that hole is there, that's where I had a rod last night. I put that out with the boat and just dropped it in that cubby hole with a little scoop of bait over the top, and nothing's happened on that one. And when I wound in, there's a bit of weed on the rig as well, although it may have been, it was on the way in that I picked the weed up and not actually on the spot. Plus I was fishing a pop-up as well, so hopefully it would have been presented, but I've not seen any shows around there. That was a spot that I was put onto by the owner, and also last time I was here, Ben the bailiff had told me about that spot as well. Apparently it does a lot of fish, but just not seen any activity around there, and not had any bites either, so I decided to come away from that spot as well. So last night then, my right-hand rod was going along my right-hand margin here. So there's the platform, just going along the margin, and you've got this overhanging rhododendron just here. And underneath there, if you walk through the bamboo, you can see there's been a couple of fish in and out since I've been here, and actually there was just a little swirl. I might have to go and investigate that in a second with my Polaroids. Could have been a duck or something, but anyway, my right-hand rod was fished to that last night, and nothing happened on that one. I think I'm in two minds as to whether to leave a rod there tonight or not, but I'll go check it out in a second. But my other spot where I've actually had my bites been under this oak tree here. Normally there's lilies over that side, and they sort of stop where the oak tree is, and when I was fishing here in September, I was actually cast into the front of them pads kind of under that oak tree, and when I got here on the first day on this session, I walked around and actually saw a fish swim over that area, so that's why I put the rod there. It's pretty clear over there, and that's the one that's done me 2 bites. Unfortunately, I've lost one of them, but you know, that's a good area, so I'm definitely going to have a rod there tonight. And then further along this margin, there's 2 posts in the water just there, and that's where the pads finish when they're up on the far side of the pads. And that's quite a good little spot where the fish come in and out behind the pads. It's quite clear there as well. So I'm tempted to put one there tonight because I've had my 2 bites over that side, and you know, it's the same margin, so the fish can swim along and pick up little patches of bait there. So I might have 1 rod here and sort of 1 rod there tonight. Right, well, I'm all sorted for the night, the last night of the session. It's taken me quite a lot of time today to sort of decide what I was going to do. I feel like as I've had the bites on that right-hand margin, I'll be better off having 2 rods over there, because the fish are obviously liking it over there. There's a few lily pads starting to emerge. I think they may be sort of milling around in there, enjoying the cover and maybe looking for a bit of natural food that is now emerging as it's spring. Although it hasn't felt like it, you can tell by my attire. It's pretty cold. When I first got here, I was in shorts and t-shirt and it was beautiful, and the fish were really active, and then got really cold after that, and the fish have been pretty quiet since then, although I have seen the odd show, but they're pretty spread out. I've not really seen one area that's particularly looking more populated with fish than anywhere else. So I think really, because I've caught on that far margin and lost one in the same spot as well, I might as well have another rod a little bit further along the margin from there. So that's what I've done. I've got 2 rods over to that sort of far right hand margin. One's on the spot under the oak tree where I actually caught from, and then the other one's a little bit further along to the little posts that are in the water there, which kind of marks the back of the pads when they're up and the sort of patrol route in and out. So, you know, I'm on a good spot there, I think, and when I felt the bottom, it was pretty solid. I used the oar of the boat to sort of prod around a little bit, and it feels nice and firm there, a little bit gravelly and stuff. So I've got my 2 rods over there, and then my right hand one is along to my right hand margin next to that rhododendron that I've spoken about. The fish were in there again when I went and checked earlier on. There was 3 in there, and I'm just as close as I can get to them really, with still fishing safely, so I can't go right into the snag obviously, but I'm sort of on the edge of it and I'm fishing pretty locked up to that right hand side. So that's my 3 rods out. But I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the tactics that I'm using on this session, because we have caught a fish, so it's been successful, so might as well show you what we've been doing. So my rig is my ever faithful withy pool rig. Well, not mine, Steve Renyard's invention, but that's what I like using for my pop-ups most of the time. It's just a knotless knot with a long shrink tube curved kicker and a shot to balance it down. I've got a yellow SS1 pop-up on there, and it's semi-stiff, strippable, coated braid, a little blob of putty in the middle just to pin it down, and that is being fished over a little mix of bait. So the bait that I'm using is quite small particles really. I figure you know, it's better to get the fish grubbing around, especially on these sort of siltier lakes. They like sort of grubbing around for small items in the silt, so they're used to, you know, picking up little snails and little bloodworm and that sort of thing. So my mix consists of hemp. I've got some mixed particles which has got maize, maple peas and tiger nuts in there as well. Then I've put some sweet corn in with it. And then lastly, I've crumbed up some amino marine boilies from Pure Bait Concepts. Just crumbed them up and broken them up with my fingers really, to make lots of different sizes and shapes to keep the fish guessing really. And then my little pop-up is only, it's a 12mm I believe, so it's only really small, so it kind of looks like a little bit of corn or a little tiger nut or a little bit of maize or something like that. And it's only popped up 1.5 inches or so off the bottom, but that's just to avoid any debris that might be down there. And I feel like that's a good presentation over that mix of bait. It's not sort of too blatant.
it's matching the colour, but it's giving me good presentation and making sure that it resets every time if the small fish are pecking away at it. And the birds, I've had mandarin ducks diving on me on this lake, which I've never had before. I didn't even know they could dive, but it's quite shallow and they seem to be able to find the bait quite easily. But I just think with that pop-up rig, it's resetting every time, even if they do pick it up. So I'm trying to fish as 100% as I can and keep the odds in my favour, really. So yeah, I've got my 3 rods out, as I said, and really all I've got to do now is wait and see what happens for the last night. I've got to be off early in the morning, so it really is the last chance saloon now. I'm just hoping that the birds don't ruin my presentation too much and we can make something happen before we have to leave tomorrow. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on the water, stay close to the rods and hope that something happens before we have to leave. Right guys, so as soon as it's the last night of the session, I thought I'd give you a little tour of the swim, or a tour of my island if you like. My island for the session anyway. I wish it was my island. It's a nice place to be. So you come in over the bridge over here and you've got a nice wood chip path here, and it goes all the way across the island over there to the front of the swim. And if you follow me down this way, you've got a beautiful view from the swim. You can see the whole lake really. As you see behind me, you know, you've got a nice view of the water. Beautiful estate lake, surrounded by rhododendrons, which will be shortly in flower. There's one behind me here. I don't know if you can see, but that's all in flower now, but there's a load of purple ones that come up in the next couple of months. And then behind the swim, there's the log cabin there, which is a pretty cool feature. If you book this lake, it's exclusive booking only on here, so you and a mate or a couple of mates can come and book it. You don't have to fish off the island. You've got the dam wall over the far side, and there's like a corner platform swim as well. But this swim's nice because you can kind of get to most of the lake from here. And then you've got your log cabin there. It's pretty bare in there. There's a really nice show board on the wall of all the fish that are in here. And then there's a little sort of area where you can use for like cooking. It's not got cooking facilities, but there's like a worktop that you can prepare your food and all that sort of stuff if you like eating posh on the bank. I tend to just eat tinned rubbish just because it's quick and easy, but yeah, that's the sort of the swim. It's absolutely gorgeous. You've got a little fire pit over here with a bench, and there's another bench over the other side over here, and there's even firewood and fire lighters and kindling as well, so you can have yourself a little fire to keep warm, and it's nice and social if you're having a couple of drinks or whatever. So beautiful place down here. The fishing can be tough but also rewarding. There's a couple of 40s in here and quite a few 30s as well, and they're beautiful, dark, stunning fish. All of them look just unique, you know, really lovely, and it's a nice place to be for a couple of days. I think they do sort of 3 and 4 day bookings or something like that. So yeah, check it out online guys, Red Beeches Fishery. Nice place to be, and some stunning fish to go for. I'm hoping tonight, being my last night, one of these rods is going to go off, and we'll have another fish to show you, but you never can tell. It's not easy on this lake at the best of times. So
So yeah, I'm just about to have my dinner and settle down for the night. Got a Carpology magazine to read, so I'll be checking that out. And yeah, I'm just going to be keeping my eye on the water, see if anything is moving. The fish have been fairly quiet the last sort of 36 hours or so. Really, I've seen the odd show, but it's hard to tell whether it's pike or tench or what really. Definitely saw one carp show earlier, but you know, one show's not much to go on, and once the rods are out, really, you're better off just waiting for the fish to come to you on here, I think, because it's quite a small lake and they are moving around quite a bit. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens, guys. Keep our fingers crossed for the night, and I'll keep you updated if anything happens. Well, good morning. It's absolutely beautiful here this morning, but still really cold. I looked at the weather forecast, and actually the wind on this session has been kind of northeasterly, hence why it's been so cold. Not been a strong wind, but you know, it's enough to take the edge off the temperature. Perhaps that's why the fish kind of went quiet. The first day was quite warm and they were fairly active, and then it went cold, and I've only seen maybe 3 or 4 shows in the last sort of 36 hours or so, and we've not had any more fish, unfortunately. It's yeah, it's been pretty dead. Yeah, a bit gutted, because I would have liked another one to finish the session on, and I did lose that one yesterday morning, so that's also rubbed salt in the wound, if you like. But I am really, really happy to have caught that 21-pound common. My first fish from the lake in a couple of sessions that I've done here now, and I'm definitely going to be back to try and catch one of these absolutely lovely fish that live in here. There's some really nice fish to go at, but yeah, I've just not hit it right with the conditions, to be honest. This time of year should be really good. They should be waking up and getting active, but it's just not happened really on this session. But I did have that one consolation fish, so it's not blank, so yeah, I'm taking the positives from it. But yeah, I've just started packing away now. You might see behind me, I've just got gear all over the floor. It's a bit dark there, but yeah, I've got to be off by 8, so if there's no more action, that'll be the end of the video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you appreciate that I've worked really hard to get my bites. I've been out in the boat, found the spots, you know, trying to work out where the fish want to be, and they've just not really been feeding. In a couple of spots I've checked, the bait's still there, so they've obviously not really been getting on it, and I was lucky to catch that one really. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been beautiful having the lake to myself, having my own island and wood cabin, log cabin, and had a little fire last night as well, which was really nice just to keep warm. And yeah, it's been lovely, I feel relaxed. But yeah, I've just got to pack away now and get going. So if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the Prologic channel. Give us a thumbs up, because it just helps us get the video out to more people. And any comments or questions about any of the tackle that I'm using, please write in the comments below. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.